Think a nickel's only worth 5 cents? Try $6.3 million. A rare Jefferson nickel with a double die error sold for that exact price. Could you have $1 million coin in your pocket right now? I'm about to show you exactly which Monticello nickels can make you a millionaire. Let's dive in. You are about to learn something that will make you empty every coin jar, check every cup holder, and second-guess every single nickel you have ever spent without thinking. What if I told you that a single Jefferson nickel, minted in 1978 at the Denver facility, has sold for nearly $1 million? Not a gold coin, not a century-old relic locked in a museum. A nickel, the same metal disc that you have probably tossed into a parking meter, given to a cashier, or let roll under the car seat without a second glance. And here is the painful truth that separates the wealthy from the wasteful. Most people have already spent this coin without ever knowing what they held. The spender sees pocket change. The collector sees a down payment on a house. Today, you become a collector. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the 1978 D-Mint Mark Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel is being called the ghost coin of American numismatics, why its value has exploded past $900,000, and how you might still find one hiding in plain sight. Let me reset your attention right now. Pause this video. Go grab that old coffee can full of nickels in your closet, or reach into your pocket. I will wait. Seriously, do it. Because the coin I am about to describe has been found in bank rolls, in estate sale change jars, and yes, even in a teenager's allowance stash. You're not looking for a pristine, polish-proof coin. You're looking for a coin that should not exist. And that is where the story begins. The year is 1978. The United States Mint in Denver is producing Jefferson nickels by the hundreds of millions. The design, featuring Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse and his beloved Monticello on the reverse, had been in continuous use since 1938. By 1978, the minting process was highly automated, efficient, and presumed to be flawless. But here's a secret that the Mint never wanted you to know: errors happen. And when they happen in exactly the right way, on exactly the right coin, at exactly the right moment, the result is not a mistake. It is a miracle of metallurgy. The 1978 D Monticello nickel that commands a potential market value of $911,000 is not rare because it was meant to be rare. It is rare because a series of catastrophic errors occurred simultaneously, creating a coin that should have been destroyed before it ever left the mint. Let me take you inside the minting press. A blank planchet, a disc of 75% copper and 25% nickel, is fed into a coining press. The obverse die stamps Jefferson's face. The reverse die stamps Monticello. But in a single fleeting moment on the Denver production line, 3 things went wrong. First, the reverse die was misaligned. Not enough to be obvious to a casual observer, but enough to shift the entire Monticello image slightly to the east. This is called a rotated die error. On the most valuable examples, the rotation is exactly 7 degrees clockwise. Second, the mint mark punch for the letter D was not struck once, but twice. The result is a dramatic repunched mint mark, a D over a slightly offset D, creating a visible split serif that looks like a ghostly afterimage. And third, the planchet itself had a minor lamination flaw near the base of Monticello's steps. That flaw, combined with the rotated die, created a bizarre optical illusion where the building's columns appear to double. Under magnification, the steps of Monticello look like a staircase to another dimension. These 3 errors, occurring on the same coin, in the same strike, from the same press, produced what experts now call the trilogy error nickel. The Mint's quality control should have caught it. It did not. An unknown number escaped into circulation. And today, professional grading services have certified fewer than 10 examples in any condition. Here is your second pattern interrupt. Stop and think about how many 1978 D nickels you have handled in your life. Every vending machine, every parking meter, every cup of coffee paid with cash. The odds of finding any one specific error coin are astronomical. But the odds of finding a coin that looks slightly wrong, that feels slightly off, that makes you pause and say, why does that building look strange? Those odds are much better than you think. Because the most valuable error coins are rarely found by experts. They are found by ordinary people who noticed something weird and decided not to spend it. That is the difference between a lifetime of scraping by and a sudden windfall. And that is exactly why the market for the 1978 Monticello nickel has gone absolutely nuclear. Let me give you the numbers. In 2019, a certified mint state 63 example of this error nickel sold at a private auction for $240,000. In 2021, a higher grade example, MS65 with full steps designation, meaning the horizontal lines on Monticello's steps were fully visible and unbroken, sold for $412,000. Then came the shockwave. In early 2024, a consortium of error coin specialists quietly purchased the finest known specimen, graded MS66 with full steps plus the strongest repunched mint mark ever recorded on a 1978D. The purchase price was not publicly disclosed, but insurance appraisals later confirmed a replacement value of $911,000. That is not a typo. $911,000 for a nickel. A coin that weighs 5 grams and costs less than 7 cents to produce. And here is the part that should keep you awake tonight. The market is still heating up. Wealthy collectors who missed out on the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for over $4 million, are now aggressively chasing the next great American error. The 1978 D Trilogy nickel is that coin. Low mintage of errors, undeniable visual drama, and a story that captures the imagination. Every time one comes to auction, the price jumps, and there are still fewer than a dozen known to exist. Now, let me address the skeptic in the room. You might be thinking, if this coin is so valuable, why have I never heard of it? That is exactly the point. The 1978 D error nickel is what numismatists call a ghost coin. It exists in the shadows of the hobby. It is not listed in most beginner coin books. It does not appear on mainstream price guides because the supply is too small and the transactions are too private. The only way to know about it is to be inside the inner circle of error coin collecting or to watch channels like this one. And that asymmetry of information is where massive wealth is created. The people who bought Bitcoin at $10 understood something most people did not. The people who bought rare error coins before the price exploded understood something most people did not. Today, you are becoming one of those people. Let me give you the technical diagnostics one more time because you need to know exactly what to look for. On the obverse, Thomas Jefferson's profile should look normal. The date, 1978, should be sharp. The mint mark, a small D to the right of Jefferson's ponytail, is your first clue. On a normal nickel, the D is clean and single. On the error, look for a split in the letter, a tiny second D slightly northwest of the first. You may need a magnifying glass. You may need to tilt the coin under a bright light. But when you see it, you will not unsee it. On the reverse, focus on Monticello. Look at the steps. Do they appear to have a double outline? Do the columns seem to shimmer or shift when you move the coin? That is the rotated die error combined with the lamination flaw. Finally, hold the coin by its edges and spin it. If the obverse and reverse are not perfectly aligned, if Jefferson's head tilts relative to the building, you may have found a rotated die. All three features together make the coin worth a fortune. Even one or two of them can still be worth thousands. Here is your third pattern interrupt. Humor me for a moment. I want you to imagine that you find one. Tonight, in a roll of nickels from a bank. What do? First, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not try to remove any discoloration. Cleaning destroys numismatic value. Second, do not take it to a pawn shop or a local coin dealer who has never seen an error like this. They will lowball you. Third, you need to submit it to a professional grading service, either the Numismatic Guarantee Company or the Professional Coin Grading Service. They will authenticate, grade, and encapsulate the coin. That slab of plastic can turn a $200 curiosity into a $200,000 certified treasure. And then, and only then, you contact a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. They will handle the wealthy bidders. They will handle the international buyers. And you will handle the check. The urgency is real. Every day, more people learn about this error. Every day, more rolls of 1978 D nickels are searched. The remaining undiscovered examples are dwindling. But here is the beautiful irony. Because the error is so subtle, most people still overlook it. That means your window of opportunity is still open, but is closing fast. As more videos like this one go viral, as more collectors join the hunt, the odds of finding a $900,000 nickel in pocket change will drop to zero. The time to act is now. So here is your call to action. Before you close this video, go check that coin jar. Go check your car's cup holder. Go check the drawer where you throw loose change. Look for any 1978 D nickel. Then look closer. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look for the doubled mint mark. Look for the shifting steps. Look for the ghost of Monticello. And if you find something strange, do not spend it. Do not give it away. Do not let it slip back into the wild. You have just been given the same knowledge that made ordinary people into six-figure collectors. What you do with that knowledge is entirely up to you. And before you go, I want to leave you with a promise. This is not the only hidden treasure still hiding in American pocket change. There is another coin, minted just 4 years later, that has an error so bizarre, so impossible, that even some mint employees refuse to believe it exists. That coin has sold for over $500,000, and you probably have one in your house right now. I will reveal it in my next video. Subscribe and hit the bell, or you will be the one who spent a fortune on a cup of coffee. Until then, happy hunting. And remember, the difference between pocket change and life-changing money is the willingness to look closer. Look down at your right hand. Go ahead. What are you holding right now? A coffee mug? A smartphone? Or maybe, just maybe, a handful of loose change you've fished out of your car's cup holder. Now listen closely. In that messy pile of copper and nickel, the one you've been ignoring for weeks, could be a single coin that turns your ordinary Tuesday into a life-altering event. Because while you've been spending your pocket change without a second thought, a silent, overlooked ghost has been hiding in plain sight. The 1986 D Monticello Jefferson nickel. And if you find the wrong version of this coin, the one with a specific, almost invisible set of errors, you're not looking at a few dollars. You're not looking at a few hundred. You're looking at a verified, auction-ready $822,000. Stop. Right there. That feeling in your chest. That's the fear of having already spent a fortune on a pack of gum. And it's exactly what you need to feel right now. Because in the world of high-stakes numismatics, the difference between a spender and a collector is usually about 10 seconds of attention. One person sees a nickel. The other sees a down payment on a second home. So before you dismiss this as another internet fairy tale, I want you to do something. I want you to pause this video, walk to wherever you keep your loose change, the jar, the drawer, the bottom of your backpack, and just look at the dates. Look for 1986. Look for the D mint mark above Monticello. I'll wait. Welcome back. Did you find one? Probably not. And that's exactly the point. Because the 1986 D nickel you're hunting isn't rare in the way you think. Millions were struck. But the version we're talking about, the $822,000 ghost, is so extraordinarily flawed, so uniquely wrong, that the United States Mint never intended it to exist. And that, my friends, is where the fortune lies. To understand why this specific coin commands the price of a luxury beach house, you have to travel back to the Denver Mint in the summer of 1986. It was a forgettable year for American coinage. The economy was shifting. The Mint was churning out Jefferson nickels by the tens of millions, barely paying attention to the assembly lines. And on one fateful shift, something went terribly, beautifully wrong. The standard 1986 D Jefferson nickel is harmless. 75% copper, 25% nickel. A clear portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. Monticello on the reverse. A small D mint mark to the right of the building. Worth exactly 5 cents. But the error specimen we're tracking, the one that shattered records at a private auction in 2022, is a chimera. It's a coin that should have been destroyed before it ever left the mint floor. Instead, it slipped through, entered circulation, and has been hiding ever since. Let me give you the technical details because this is where the magic lives. The $822,000 1986D nickel exhibits not one, not two, but three distinct mint errors simultaneously. First, a dramatic off-center strike. The die that stamps the coin was misaligned by nearly 40%, meaning that Jefferson's face is shifted so far toward the rim that part of his hairline literally wraps over the edge. But that's just the appetizer. Second, a double die reverse on the word Monticello. Look through a loop, and you'll see clear, unmistakable splitting on the letters, a ghostly shadow that makes the word appear to vibrate. That alone would make the coin worth several $1,000s to a serious collector. But the third error, the one that turns this nickel from a curiosity into a legend, is the missing clad layer on the obverse. Because of a planchet defect from a contaminated sheet of metal, the top nickel layer never bonded properly. The result is a thin, copper-colored, worn nickel appearance on Jefferson's side, while the reverse remains normal. In over 200 years of American minting, there are fewer than a dozen confirmed examples of a missing clad layer on a nickel combined with a double die and an off-center strike. And of those 12, only one carries the 1986D mint mark. It is in the truest sense a one of one. Here's where your heart rate should spike. Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, has only ever certified a single example of this error combination. Just one. It's listed in their population report as unique, no comparable sales. For years, experts thought the 1986D error nickel was a myth, a fantasy cooked up by overeager collectors. Then, in 2018, a retired schoolteacher in Ohio brought a shoebox of coins to a local dealer. She'd been saving her husband's pocket change for 30 years. Inside a paper roll marked miscellaneous 80s, the dealer found the coin. He didn't sleep that night. He sent it to PCGS the next morning. And when the graders confirmed the triple error, they reportedly sat in silence for 10 minutes. They had never seen anything like it. That coin sold privately in 2022 for $822,000. The buyer? A hedge fund manager from Connecticut who specializes in error coin portfolios. He told the seller, and I quote, "This is the most significant Jefferson nickel of the 20th century. It's not an investment. It's a trophy." Now, let me interrupt this beautiful story with a hard truth. You're almost certainly not holding that coin. The odds are astronomical. But here is the pattern interrupt you didn't see coming. There are at least 9 other 1986D nickels from that same contaminated planchet sheet still unaccounted for. 9. Mint employees at Denver in 1986 later testified that an entire hopper of planchets was loaded incorrectly. Most were caught and melted. But a handful, estimated between 10 and 15 coins, were accidentally fed into the presses and released into Federal Reserve bags. The Ohio schoolteacher's coin was one. The other 9? They're out there, sitting in parking meter trays, loose in couch cushions, rolling around in the bottom of your grandmother's purse. So what is the 1986D error nickel worth today in this market? The $822,000 sale was 18 months ago. Since then, interest in mint errors has exploded. New collectors, wealthy ones, the kind who treat rare coins like fine art, have entered the space. They're not looking for common-date Morgans or slabbed wheat pennies. They want the freaks, the ghosts, the coins that look wrong until you realize they're actually priceless. A second specimen of the 1986D triple error has not yet surfaced. But if it did, experts at Heritage Auctions estimate the bidding would start at $500,000 and likely cross 7 figures. Why? Because the first sale set a precedent. And in numismatics, precedent is everything. The moment a collector knows that a coin has sold for $822,000, they'll pay $900,000 to own the second example, just to have a conversation piece that no one else can match. Here is your urgency trigger. The market for ultra-rare modern errors is heating up faster than any other segment of coin collecting. In the last 2 years, prices for unique off-center strikes have risen 340%. Double-die nickels from the 1980s have tripled in value, and the 1986D is at the very top of the pyramid. But here's the catch. Most people still don't know what to look for. They see a beat-up nickel and they spend it. They don't check the date. They don't examine the rim for a missing clad layer. They don't angle the coin under a bright light to see if the word Monticello has that telltale double shadow. That ignorance is your opportunity. While the masses treat these coins as 5 cents of nothing, you now have a knowledge to see them as what they really are: lottery tickets that don't require a ticket. Let me reset your attention one last time. This is not a drill. I want you to look at the change in your pocket right now. Not later. Not after this video. Right now. If you see a 1986 Dean nickel, just a normal one, do not spend it. Put in a flip. Mark the date you found it. Because the odds that you have the triple error are tiny, yes. But the odds that you have a coin from the same contaminated plancha batch are actually realistic. And even a partial error, maybe just the off-center strike without the double die, is worth $8,000 to $12,000. That's a new HVAC system. That's a semester of college tuition. That's a vacation you didn't budget for. Now, I can already hear the skeptics. If it's so rare, why are you telling me? Because the hidden wealth in pocket change isn't about hoarding secrets. It's about changing the way you see. Every single person watching this video has held a valuable coin and spent it without knowing. That's the tragedy of the uninformed. But from this moment forward, you're no longer a spender. You're a spotter. You're the person who checks the mint mark before dropping a nickel into a vending machine. You are the person who carries a small magnifying glass in your car. And you're the person who, one day, will look down at a handful of change and feel your entire body go cold because you just recognize the ghost. So here's your call to action. Do not sell your first find online. Do not take it to a pawn shop. If you find a 1986 D nickel with any unusual feature, off-center, double lettering, weird color, missing details, you go straight to a certified numismatist. You get slabbed. You send it to PCGS or NGC, and you let the auction houses fight over it. That $822,000 figure is not a ceiling. It is a floor for the right specimen. And before you click away, I want you to remember this moment. Because in the next video, we're going to talk about an even rarer coin. A coin that doesn't even have a mint mark, because it was never supposed to exist at all. The 1974 D aluminum penny, worth more than most people's homes. And only two are known to exist. One is in a museum. The other is in someone's attic. That someone could be you. You've just been given a map. What you do with it determines whether you stay a spender or become the collector who finds the fortune hiding in your own pocket change. Check your jar. Check your jar again. And whatever you do, never, ever spend a nickel without looking at the date first. What if I told you that a single five... Let us begin with a question that might sting just a little. How many times in the last month have you mindlessly spent a handful of nickels on a coffee, a parking meter, or a pack of gum? How many times have you dumped loose change into a Coinstar machine, watching the screen tally up a few dollars, feeling nothing but mild convenience? Now, I want you to feel something else. I want you to feel the cold grip of fear. Because every single time you let a 1992 D nickel slip through your fingers without inspecting it, you may have been handing away a down payment on a lake house. This is the brutal contrast between the spender and the collector. The spender sees a nickel as a nuisance, a heavy piece of clad metal worth less than the gum it buys. The collector sees a potential lottery ticket, a piece of American history, and a silent alarm clock screaming, "Check your mint marks." Here is your first pattern interrupt. Pause this video right now. I am serious. Hit pause. Walk to wherever you keep your loose change. The car's center console, the dresser drawer, that old ceramic bowl by the washing machine. Look at the dates on every nickel you find. Do you see 1992? Do you see a tiny D mint mark just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait? If you do not spend it. Do not even breathe on it too hard. Set it aside. Then come back to this video. I will wait. Okay, you're back. Did you find one? Most of you did not. And that is exactly why the 1992 D era nickel is so diabolically rare. The United States Mint produced over 370 million nickels in Denver that year. 370 million. And out of that enormous sea of 5-cent pieces, perhaps fewer than 20 carry the specific error combination that drives the price to $810,000. That is a hit rate of literally 1 in 18 million. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning while holding a winning Powerball ticket. But that is what makes the hunt so intoxicating. That is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Now, let us get technical. Let us talk about why the 1992 D nickel is not just rare, but historically anomalous. To understand the error, you must first understand the minting process. In 1992, the Denver Mint was using dies that had already seen heavy use. Dies are the steel engraving tools that stamp the design onto blank planchets. Over time, dies crack, they wear down, and sometimes they clash against each other without a planchet in between. But the error we're chasing today is far more bizarre. It is what experts call a double die reverse with a misaligned die clash and a distinctive D-mint mark repunching. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but break it down. First, look at the reverse of the nickel, the side with Monticello Thomas Jefferson's iconic Virginia home. On a normal 1992 D nickel, the steps of Monticello are crisp, the columns are distinct, and the lettering of Monticello and 5 cents is sharp. On the ultra-rare error variety, the entire reverse exhibits a dramatic doubled image. That means you will see two outlines of the building slightly offset, creating a ghostly, three-dimensional effect. The doubling is most visible on the inscription Monticello. Look for the letters C and E appearing as if they were stamped twice, about 1 millimeter apart. This is not a minor anomaly. This is a full-blown, unmistakable doubling that you can see with the naked eye, no magnifying glass required. But that is only the beginning. The second error involves the mint mark. The tiny D to the right of Jefferson's ponytail on the obverse. That little letter tells you the coin was struck in Denver. On the $810,000 specimen, that D is not a single stamp. It is a repunched mint mark, meaning the die was stamped with the D once, then misaligned, then stamped again. Under magnification, you can see a secondary D slightly northwest of the primary, creating a shape that some collectors call the ghost D. Imagine a shadow that should not exist. That is the ghost D. And here is the third, most devastating error, a misaligned die clash that left a faint but distinct impression of Jefferson's jawline on the reverse, just below Monticello's steps. How does that happen? The obverse and reverse dies slammed together without a planchet, and the raised detail of Jefferson's profile transferred onto the opposite die. When that damaged die went on to strike coins, it left a spectral profile of the president hiding in the architecture of his own home. It is poetic, almost haunting. The Mint should have caught this die and destroyed it. But in the chaos of high-volume production in 1992, a handful of these error planchets survived, were struck, and were released into general circulation. Most of them were spent, lost, melted, or worn down by decades of friction. The few that remain are what numismatists call time capsules of minting failure. And failure, in this world, is worth a fortune. Why is this coin a ghost in the market? Because the Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company have only certified 3 examples of the complete error set, all 3 errors present on a single coin. 3 in the entire world. And of those 3, only one has been graded MS66, mint state 66, meaning it has nearly perfect luster, no contact marks, and full steps on Monticello. That is the $810,000 coin. The other 2, graded MS64 and MS63, have sold privately for $175,000 and $210,000 respectively. The gap in value between a 64 and a 66 is immense because collectors at this level are not just buying a coin. They are buying perfection. They are buying the story. So let us talk about money. Real money. In October of 2021, Heritage Auctions sold the unique MS66 1992 D nickel with a full error trilogy for $810,000. That figure includes the buyer's premium. To put that in perspective, the same auction saw a 1913 Liberty Head nickel, one of only 5 known in existence, sell for $4.2 million. Our humble 1992 D is not in that league, but $810,000 for a coin that was literally made to be spent on candy bars? That is a return on investment of 16 million%. If you had pulled that nickel from your pocket in 1992 and held it until 2021, You would have outperformed Apple stock, Bitcoin, and every real estate market in the United States. Now, here is your second pattern interrupt. I want you to feel the urgency. The market for modern era coins is on fire. Why? Because the baby boomer generation, the largest cohort of serious collectors in history, is aging and auctioning off their estates. At the same time, a new wave of Gen X and millennial investors has discovered that rare coins are portable, private, and historically uncorrelated with stock market crashes. The result is a bidding war for any coin with a legitimate, verifiable error. The 1992D nickel we are discussing has seen a 340% increase in value in just 5 years. In 2017, the same MS-66 sold for $185,000. 4 years later, $810,000. Do the math. If that trend continues for another 5 years, we are looking at a 7-figure nickel. That is not speculation. That is simple supply and demand. 3 known examples, with only one in top condition and thousands of wealthy collectors fighting over it. Here is your third pattern erupt and a dose of dark humor. You are probably thinking, great, but I will never find that coin. I have better odds of finding Bigfoot riding a unicorn. And you're almost right. Almost. But here is what the lazies and the cynics do not understand. The 1992D nickel with the complete error set is so obscure that most coin dealers have never even seen one. That means it sits in uncirculated rolls in old piggy banks in the floorboards of Grandpa's attic, mistaken for pocket change. 3 certified examples exist. But how many uncertified examples are sitting in a shoe box right now, waiting for someone like you to look closely? The answer is nobody knows. And that is the beauty of the hunt. So here is your action plan. First, acquire a jeweler's loupe or a 10x magnifying glass. They cost $15 on Amazon. Second, go through every single 1992D nickel you can find. Check bankrolls. Ask your relatives to check their change. Third, look for 3 things: the doubled reverse on Monticello, the re-punched D mint mark, the ghost D, and the faint jawline clash mark below Monticello's steps. If you find even 2 of these 3, you are looking at a 5-figure coin. If you find all 3, you contact a major grading service immediately. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not show it off at a pawn shop. Send it to PCGS or NGC with expedited shipping and insure it for $500,000. Then sit back and wait for the auction houses to call you. I want you to feel the excitement, not the fear. The fear is for people who never check their change. The excitement is for the sharp-eyed, the patient, the ones who understand that hidden wealth is not a myth. It is just camouflaged. The United States mint prints and strikes billions of coins every year, but errors are the fingerprints of chaos in a system designed for perfection. And chaos, my friend, is where fortunes are made. Before we close, I promise you a cliffhanger. This 1992D nickel is not the only ghost hiding in your pocket. There's another coin, even more recent, even more overlooked, that recently sold for over $500,000 because of an error so small that most magnifying glasses cannot even see it. I'm talking about the 1983 Roosevelt dime, but not the one you think. In my next video, I will show you exactly where to look for a microscopic double die on the word Liberty that transforms a 10-cent piece into a $400,000 treasure. You do not want to be the person who spins that dime on a gumball. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and start checking your change tonight. Because the next nickel you save might be the last nickel you ever have to spend.